Welcome to our motorcycle product review show. I'm Mario Orsini and
I'm Lance Collins.
And today we're going to do something a little bit different than what you guys have seen in the past. Instead of just reviewing one product and going into full detail on it, we're going to look at a few different products that you might need for winterization of your bike. Unless you live in Florida, in which case I hate you. A few of the things we're going to look at today, and we'll go into a little bit of detail on them. We've got a couple of different battery tender options to keep your battery of your motorcycle at optimal charge throughout the winter. We have another cool battery tender gadget, which we'll get into in a minute. We also have some fuel stabilizers, and for those of you guys with diesel pickups, we know there's a few of you out there hauling your dirt bikes around. We've got a stabilizer for your diesel fuel too. So, Lance, what do you want to start with?
We'll start out with the battery tenders.
All right, we've got two different battery tenders. This is the battery tender junior. I have one of these, and this is the, which one is this one?
That is the battery tender waterproof. It's 800 waterproof.
This is a newer one, because I have one of the waterproof ones. Mine's a little bit smaller, and it's also much older. So
yeah, they kind of changed the casing a little bit on both of them. There's most people, if they have the older one, it just looks like a little receptacle that plugs into the actual wall, and that's it. This one kind of has a light. They both have lights on them now to kind of give you indicators, you know, where your battery state is on it.
And what do you guys need this for? I know we're gonna have some guys like my dad that it was kind of hard to talk. Well, I'll just go start it up every couple of weeks. But we know charging systems on motorcycles aren't as advanced as they are on cars. So
yeah, when people they make the assumption that they're gonna start their bike and let it idle, 15-20 minutes, and okay, it does get the fuel moving around a little bit in there, but in reality, you're using more of the battery to start the motorcycle than you're actually charging it, because the charging system will charge it idle, but it's not going to put full optimal, 12, it's actually 14 volts out on them until right around 2,200 RPMs on them.
So what are the price points on these two?
These here are $55.99 for your waterproofed one. It comes with the same attachments as any of the other battery tenders. You got your alligator clips, your wired on bike hard leads, and the standard quick plugs on them with the fuse on both of them. And then you have your $39.99 junior, and it also has the same features, just a little bit smaller and not waterproof.
And here's the great thing about these things. No matter which one you get, there's also larger ones you can buy, and double banks and quadruple banks. The point is, you're only going to pay about $40 for the lower level one, which is going to do a great job of keeping your battery alive. Most batteries that you got to buy for your motorcycle are up around $100, if not more. This will extend the life of your battery. I didn't put one on my old DRZ 400 one year. That battery was a year old, or a little over a year old. It was dead. So I would have been money ahead just to go ahead and purchase one of these tenders. I use it on my lawnmower battery, my motorcycle batteries, any sort of battery like that. I love mine.
Most of your batteries too out there, guys, are only going to have a 1-year warranty, with the exception of a few of the lithium-ion batteries that are going to have a 2-year warranty. So this is a cheap investment when you have a battery that's going to be $150, $200 for some of those guys that are in your sport bikes. Even some of your large cruisers have really expensive batteries, so this is really a good purchase. Keeps the battery up. It also it's a maintainer, so it's going to charge it. It's going to a peak, and then it's going to let it trickle back down, and then it's going to charge it back up. So it's not just putting a charge on your battery constantly. This is going to keep your battery maintenance, which is going to keep the battery life a lot longer on your battery.
The other great thing about battery tenders, and we'll get into that in a moment, is they do come with some great connectors that you can leave on your bike year round. That not just battery tender utilizes that type of connector. A lot of your electronic equipment, whether it's heated vest, heated pants, even chargers, things like that. It gives you an opportunity to have a plug-in, and a lot of companies do use that, and you get those attachments along with your battery tender purchases. It always comes with at least one of those, and then I think it comes with a set of alligator clips.
Alligator clips, yeah.
Anyway, we'll touch on this other thing in just a moment, but let's skip over here. Let's get to the fuel stabilizer. Okay. This is something maybe a lot of people aren't familiar with.
All right, so we have, I brought 3 different kinds. There's also a diesel one, but it's also by Liquid Performance. But the first one I wanted to show you guys, this stuff here we use, this is mainly, I'm going to use this stuff for is cleaning the fuel system on them. If you got a system that's set for a long time, it's all gunked up, especially fuel injection stuff, this is going to actually do a really good job at cleaning the fuel injector on it. Most people say, oh, you can put some of that Lucas or something in it there. Try it, and then when it doesn't work, try this, because this does clean the fuel injection system on it. Another one that's out there, which actually all these are stabilizers and ethanol equalizers. So this one will stabilize and equalize the ethanol in the fuel system. And this, as you can see in later the test, it does absorb water. So it does.
Lance is right. That's once he finishes talking about these three products, we're gonna cut over to a test that we did earlier, so you can check out exactly what they'll do under our under our test conditions we set up here tonight.
Next one we have is the VP MAD additive, but it's a fuel stabilizer and ethanol equalizer also. This stuff here we sell, it is it's pretty average out there. It's going to be competitive to like your stable and stuff like that. The last one I got is Liquid Performance. This stuff, it also, in the test you'll see it does absorb the water. It's not as fast as your K100. Your K100 does act a lot faster. It's just a heavier cleaner. But this stuff will actually stabilize the fuel, equalize the ethanol. It's going to be a lot crisper fuel. It's like, the old fuel before they put ethanol in it. You're going to have that type of fuel.
And a lot of these fuel stabilizers are stuff that you can not only, or especially with the ethanol equalizers in them, not just something you can run in your motorcycles, you can run it in all your small engines.
These you can add to two-stroke. So I wouldn't recommend putting that one in your two-stroke. I've put this in my two-stroke and it had no problems. It actually, like I say, if you got like a detonation ping or something, in there, or the fuel is just crappy fuel wherever you're at, it definitely helps out.
And then finally we got the diesel additive.
Just brought this along. Liquid Performance, they also have cleaners and stuff too. That's really, really good. But they make diesel stuff because a lot of these guys are riding dirt bikes, racing street bikes, whatever, and they also have a four-wheel vehicle to get somewhere, if it's snowing or whatnot. So a lot of people have diesels, to pull their big rigs and stuff with. And this stuff treats the fuel. It also, the biggest thing that I found with this is, not a lot of people realize this, but there's an algae that can grow in diesel. And what it does is, when it gets in your fuel system on your diesel, your fuel economy will drop. And you'll notice, people are saying, "Oh man, I got to change the fuel filter out." But when I did, I still lost my fuel economy's down. Maybe I need to do something else to it. A lot of the times, it's just the fuel that you're getting. You'll hear.
Another thing to know about all these products, not the battery chargers, but any of the additives, it's not per fuel tank. These things will treat multiple tanks of fuel, especially on motorcycles, because it's got the ratios on there of how much to add per gallon. A lot of these stabilizers, you're going to use them for a year or two because you're not going to use them that often. So I'm not going to say it's a one-time purchase, but it's not like oil where you might be changing it multiple times a year.
Now, a lot of these too are going to do a substantial amount of fuel too. So this little 8-ounce bottle right here does 40 gallons it treats.
So, depending on the size tank you've got on your motorcycle, that could be 8-10 fill-ups.
80 gallons. This one's not so much because it's just a really heavy 16 gallons. So.
We're going to cut over to the test we did earlier so you can check out what each of these additives did.
One I have is Liquid Performance Ethanol Equalizer. Another one I have is VP's MAD Additive Fuel and Ethanol Stabilizer. And the last one I have is K100. This is also a stabilizer and a deep cleaner too. This stuff right here is pretty heavy. This is carbon printing. This printing right here on that, you can see I can rub pretty hard on it and it doesn't come off because it's printed on there with carbon ink. But carbon builds up in engines too. So what I'm first going to do is take a little bit of each one of these and put this on the can in the lid there. I'm just going to do kind of a shot of each. There's not really a measurement I'm going to do. A little more there. And there you go. You can actually do this simple little test also, and with a Coke can or any kind of can that has the printing on the bottom. But You can put a little bit of your stabilizer, cleaner, whatever you got there that you're going to put in your engine. Put it on that and let it sit for a minute or so, and just see if it dissolves the ink off of it without actually having to rub it with your fingers. And as you'll see here in a second, we'll show you that all three of these are cleaning the ink off this without me rubbing the can or anything there. So all three of these clean them pretty well, actually. That's usually and as you can see from the video there, that stuff is cleaning the carbon off there without even having to rub the carbon on the can at all. So they all are kind of doing what they say they're going to do. They're going to clean too. So what I wanted to go to next is showing you they all claim that they're ethanol equalizers. So being ethanol equalizer, it should be able to absorb water because alcohol is going to absorb moisture. So now what I was going to do is I'm going to add some water, a half tablespoon for each one, just so we can kind of keep the water about the same, so nobody can say that we added more to one and less to another. So as you can see, the K100 completely absorbed the water. The VP has like a bubble of the water in there. It's not completely, as you can see, the K100 is kind of sitting in the middle, or not the K100, but the VP. And the liquid performance has, it doesn't really have a bubble. I guess it kind of a little bit does, but I don't know if that's more of the ink at the bottom. With that, you can actually, if you let that one sit, it'll probably absorb all the water just like the K100.
All right, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that test. We have one last thing we want to show you tonight, and that is the battery tender voltage indicator with an LCD display. Now, one of the cool things about this is if you already own a battery tender and you already have the pigtails on there, all you have to do is plug this thing in. But, Lance, what does this have to do with winterization?
Basically, if those guys that have multiple motorcycles, four-wheelers, ATVs, that have the battery tender leads that you can buy separate also, they can go around and say, oh well, let me check this one and see what the voltage is if the machine doesn't have a voltage indicator on it, and you can plug it right into the lead that's usually just kind of hanging out or tucked in close to where your battery is, usually really accessible on the bike, but it'll tell you your voltage, and it actually has some LEDs on there that kind of give you the state of what the battery's charge is on there. It could have 12 volts, but it could be, down, actually like with the cells in the battery that, so it's going to kind of give you your life and voltage of the battery. And
you're only looking at $17 on one of these things. This is one of the things I said that, one of the cool gadgets you can plug in if you get the battery tender leads on there. It's great. If you don't own a voltmeter and one of the handheld ones with the, like I've got, yeah, I mean, this thing's great. The other thing is, it's small enough that if you wanted to have this on your bike full time, you could do that or keep it under the seat. Also, you'll notice it has the same connection piece that I had Thad's bike over here a few weeks ago before he crashed, and if you saw that video, we installed one of the battery tender makes a USB plug-in charger, so you can charge your iPhone or whatever other portable devices you may have. So they got some really cool stuff. That's what we brought for you tonight, but that's not everything when it comes to winterization. Lance, you got any closing tips before we get out of here?
Most people forget about tires. That's another thing that I wanted to kind of say is make sure, if your bike doesn't have stains, you're going to prop it up off the ground. Make sure you inflate the tires, up to where they're supposed to be on the actual sidewall of the tire, and that'll kind of keep them from getting flat spots. And also, whenever they sit and they flatten out, they start to dry crack, and you'll get dry cracks in the tires and start to dry rot. So that's another tip. Also, top your fuel off. People like to not leave fuel in there, and those vapors, and especially if the tank is metal, will rust the inside of your tank and start to corrode it. So that's another thing I would also do. Most people want to drain stuff out, but in reality, in a metal tank, unless it's a plastic tank, it's going to corrode the inside of your tank.
Hope you guys got something valuable from tonight's show. If you have any additional questions, let us know in the comments below. If you've used any of these products or you'd like to know more about these products, please let us know. Also, if you'd like to contact Lance directly to get your hands on some of these items, we're going to put the telephone number right here and also down below in the comments. Or if you prefer not to have to talk to him like I do and just want to send him an email, his email address is right here. We've also put that down in the comments below. We will see you guys soon.